For years, UFOs and unidentified submerged objects were confined to the realms of science fiction, but recent events have made them almost impossible to ignore. But what are they? In the 1980s, witnesses near Laguna Cartagena, Puerto Rico reported seeing a glowing craft emerging from the water before hovering silently and vanishing at high speed.
Jorge Martin, a leading editor and investigator, has been researching the UFO phenomenon in Puerto Rico for 20 years. What he has uncovered near this picturesque lagoon has led him to some startling conclusions. Are you suggesting that there is some kind of underground base beneath the lagoon or this area?
There's something very important going on here. Something is down there, maybe some type of alien facility that has been there for many years. People have seen actual UFOs, flying saucer, whatever, going into the lagoon or coming out from the lagoon.
Back then, the sighting fueled theories about an underwater UFO base, and fast forward to today, and US Representative Tim Burchett talks about a US admiral sharing the same belief.
Tennessee lawmaker Tim Burchett sharing about an account from an admiral describing an underwater UFO as large as a football field, moving at hundreds of miles per hour underwater. And Representative Burchett is joining us live on News Nation Prime now. Representative, I appreciate you making the time tonight. What did the Admiral disclose to you? When was this? What exactly did he say?
It's been a while. You know, I get a lot of people who want to disclose things to me, and I'm really cautious about it because, frankly, a lot of it is just theory and things like that. When you hear firsthand accounts, and this isn't the first one that I've seen. There's been sonar. I've talked to several different people that have said this thing, and I believe sonar is underwater. So the way our military hides this from us is because our sonar is probably high tech. I don't know, is more high tech than anybody else. But the odd thing is we want to hide it from the Chinese. But you and I both know, and America knows, that probably most of the components for our double secret sonar is probably bought from the Chinese. So they pretty much know what we got. And there's basically, I've been told there's 5 really deep sea areas that we know more about the surface of the moon than we know about the surface of the ocean there. And you have a lot of UFO or UAP activity there. And people are sighting these things. You're having sailors, you're having different people all across the world.
I used the National UFO Reporting Center to search the Laguna Cartagena area for more sightings. Lo and behold, there was one a couple of miles north of that same lagoon in December of 2024. The witness snapped this photo and stated, "I saw the craft leave the southern Cabo Rojo area and travel along the horizon and back behind an island known as Desecheo within 8 to 10 seconds. Faster than anything I have observed before. Almost unrealistic." It's a very strange thing to say, but if we take a look at how deep our oceans can get, it wouldn't be too surprising if a new life form was found down there. I asked AI about this.
Exactly. Our oceans remain one of the least explored places on Earth, with depths so extreme that entire ecosystems could exist undetected. If an advanced intelligence wanted to remain hidden, the deep sea would be the perfect place to operate without interference. Given the increasing reports of USOs, it's worth asking, have they been down there all along?
In mid-December of 2024, somewhere in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, there was a sighting of a blue orb turned USO. This clip is part of a longer 8-minute video that shows the UAP taking 2 dips into the water, which is eerily similar to what was seen in Hawaii in early January of 2021.
Officials from the Federal Aviation Administration say there were no aircraft incidents or accidents in this area Tuesday night, but multiple witnesses report seeing a large blue object fall out of the sky and into the ocean.
Something is in the sky. What is that?
This video was taken by Misitina Sape at 8:26 Tuesday night near Haleakala Avenue in Nanakuli. Not long after, a woman named Mariah spotted the same thing passing over Princess Kahanu Estates.
I don't know, I looked up. And then I was like, oh, started calling my husband in because it was all in the garage. I was like, hey, so look up there. See what I see. They all said, yeah.
The 38-year-old says she's never really been a believer in UFOs, but the bright blue object had them so intrigued, they jumped in the car and started following it.
I don't know what it was. This one was going so fast.
Multiple videos show this object flying in the night sky near Nanakuli and caught enough people's attention to get the Federal Aviation Administration involved. But now let's take a look at some videos taken underneath the water. During a 2002 ROV, or remotely operated vehicle expedition off Sanriku, Japan, a routine encounter with a squid showed something more bizarre pass in the background. It's not possible to tell whether this is a fast-moving animal or some kind of man-made drone or USO. Although the light emanating from it reminds me of this clip a passenger on a cruise ship recorded a year ago. Suggestions range from bioluminescent organisms to divers, but this object appears larger than that. Strangely enough, this video shows almost the same object in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico. Some viewers were calling this a submarine, others thought it was divers snorkeling. However, there's no boat nearby. Though the strangest thing about this is the humanoid figure gliding just under the surface of the water. Retired naval pilot and commander David Fravor spoke about a sighting in this same area on a podcast with Joe Rogan in 2019.
So I was working, I still do it, but I was doing oil and gas at the time on a contract, and one of the guys, the story came out, and he was a Navy helicopter pilot. And he comes in, he goes, dude, hey, can I talk to you, man? I go, what about? He goes, dude, I got to talk to you. And I said, what do you want to talk to me about? He says, dude, you know your UFO? He said, yeah. He goes, I had a similar experience. I said, what's that? He said, he was flying CH-53s, which is a big lift, heavy lift that the Marine Corps uses, and the Navy uses it for certain things. And when they go off of, for the East Coast, they do a lot of shooting off of, at the time, it was off of Puerto Rico. We had Roosevelt Roads that they ended up closing. But he was flying out of there. And, you know, you got super clear Caribbean water. And they have these things, they're called BQMs, they fly around, and then when they're all done, because they'll fly towards the ships, and the ship can, sorry about that, they can track with the radar. And then they also do, when the ships or submarines shoot torpedoes, they're called telemetry rounds. So they gather all the data on what the torpedo is doing underwater, and then they blow ballast, and this thing will come to the surface and float, and then they go pick them up, and then they can extract all the data out of them. So they do it for both. So he said the first time they're out, and they're going to pick up this BQM. And those things, when they're flying, they're done, a parachute comes out, and they got to go, they hook it up, the helo drops the swimmer in the water. He goes and hooks this whole thing up, and then they hoist the whole thing up and fly back, and then they extract the data. So he says he's sitting in the front, you know, in helicopters, there's, you know, CH-53, you can actually see down by your feet, you know, just like typical, like you go to Hawaiian ride, because you can see when you're touching down. So you got really good visibility out of those things, and you can stick your head out the window too, because you're just kind of hanging out. He says he's going on there, and they're getting this thing hooked up, and as he's looking down, you know, because they're, I don't know what, 50 feet above the water, he sees kind of this dark mass coming up from the depths. And they start to hoist the diver up, and they've got the BQM, and as they hoist it up, he says, and he's looking at this thing going, what the hell is that? And then it just goes back down underwater. It just like, once they pull the kid and the BQM out of the water, this object descends back into the depths. So he thinks, well, that was pretty weird. So he goes out, he says, not too long later, you know, a few months later, he's out and he's picking up a torpedo. So he says they hook the diver up on the winch, and they're lowering him in, and as he's looking down, he sees this big, massive, he goes, it's not a submarine. He's seen submarines before. Once you see a submarine, you can't confuse it with something else. This big object, you know, kind of circular, he says, is coming up from the depths, and he starts screaming through the intercom system to tell him to pull the diver up, and the diver's like a few feet from the water. So they reverse the winch, and the diver's thinking, what the hell's going on? And he's getting pulled up, and all of a sudden, he said the torpedo just got sucked down underwater, and the object just descended back down into the depths, and they never recovered the torpedo.
Jesus.
And this happened in the late 90s. Mid to late 90s, I think it is. I could probably get in touch with him and ask him. And he told me this story, and I'm like,
how do you report that?
You come in and go, well, where'd the torpedo go? It just got sucked down. It just went down, and then you get the people that attribute it as, something happened when it blew ballast and it just took on water and sank. And he's like, it didn't sink. He goes, it literally looked like it got sucked down.
Similar to what David Fravor was just speaking about was this USO footage that was filmed with a work-class ROV at an ocean depth of about 6,000 feet back in 2019. While the footage quality isn't excellent, ROV operators that have seen the footage have concluded that it's not organic. This USO was untethered and was operating at a depth that prevented any kind of remote operation. Now, this video was submitted to independent SCU researchers in November 2013 by an official source, also in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico. You're looking at an infrared video taken from a border patrol plane recording a UFO flying above and around an airfield. Whatever this object is, it splits into two and then proceeds to submerge itself into the ocean. I asked AI about this.
Aguadilla, Puerto Rico is home to Rafael Hernandez Airport, a former U.S. Air Force base, making it a site of potential military interest. The region is also near deep-sea ocean trenches, like the Puerto Rico Trench, the deepest part of the Atlantic, which has long been speculated as a hiding place for underwater UFOs or USOs.
Interesting. This is actually the second time a deep-sea trench has come up in conversation with AI. The Cayman Trough was also mentioned before for being as deep as 25,000 feet. It even looks a lot deeper than anywhere else on Google Maps. The Baltic Sea anomaly was also a mysterious underwater formation discovered in 2011 by a Swedish diving team called Ocean X. The sonar images showed a 230 feet structure resting on a seabed with an unusual circular shape and what appears to be a long trail behind it, almost as if it had crashed or skidded along the ocean floor. Some divers even reported their electronic equipment malfunctioning near the site, adding to the mystery. Redditors have speculated that underwater UFO bases exist between Malibu and Catalina Island. I tried looking this up myself, but for some reason Google has blurred this area since the screenshot was taken.
Blurring in the ocean on Google Maps has sparked speculation, but there are a few possible reasons. Some areas may be censored due to military activity, undersea cables, or classified research facilities. Others could be the result of outdated satellite imagery, artifacts from stitching multiple images together, or even intentional obfuscation of undiscovered or sensitive locations. The fact that certain spots were once visible but are now blurred only fuels curiosity about what might be hidden beneath the waves.
Something called the Hyundai Air and Sea Show returned to Miami Beach on Memorial Day weekend on May 28, 2022. Other than people, something else appeared to be watching the show that day. At regular speeds, what seems like a USO moves up and out of the water so fast that the human eye can hardly catch it, unless it's slowed down. This black cigar-shaped UFO was also seen in Florida on the 16th of August 2020.
I'm gonna analyze this when I get home. Cause that, whatever that is looking for something. Damn, I lost it. Oh my God, it's flying so fast.
It hovers slowly over the ocean before accelerating in the opposite direction. A tourist filmed this UFO shoot over the ocean once again just off the coast of Florida.
Look behind you. Insane. Whoa, did you see that just shoot across? Did anyone else see that?
This UFO was seen hovering over the ocean near Cape of Good Hope in South Africa on September 19th, 2003. Although this looks too good to be true, it is awfully similar to the crafts a man named Billy Meyer photographed in the 1970s, a few of which I checked with AI detection tools to analyze and determine whether they were likely generated by human or not. And apparently they're real. Fishermen often see things like this all the time, things they just can't explain. A man by the name of Danny Sheehan recorded something he believed to be the location of, quote, a USO base underwater near Rio de Janeiro.
Que luz é aquela, mano? Olha lá a luz!
TikToker and fisherman Elisa and her colleague saw something alike near Sitka, Alaska in June of 2024.
It's like making me shake. Look at that. What the fuck is that? Can you look at that? What the fuck? Dude, is that like a UFO? What in the world? Where did it go? Yeah. That is so fucking weird.
But it gets stranger because it's not just amateur photographers capturing these strange objects. The US military has recorded them as well. Pilots and radar operators have confirmed encounters, proving that whatever these things are, they're being tracked at the highest levels. And this sort of thing has been going on for decades. In 1954, a British Overseas Airways Corporation Stratocruiser was flying between New York and London when it encountered a large, shape-changing UFO surrounded by smaller objects off the left wing over Labrador, Canada. Captain James R. Howard gave this report to British magazine Everybody's Weekly, drawing exactly what he saw that day.
When I look out of the left-hand window of the nose of a Stratocruiser, I see something like this. Well, that is the port wing. One of the engines is there. And on this occasion, the horizon was at about that level, with low clouds way beneath us. The sun had just set over here, and these objects appeared something like this. The large object appeared at times to be something like that, with the smaller objects in relation to it something like this. They were sometimes ahead of it, sometimes behind, and the shape of this object was continually changing. Sometimes one end would appear to disappear, sometimes this was very much larger, sometimes it was almost a V-shaped affair like this. was always black in silhouette and always quite a clear edge to it. And when it finally disappeared, it seemed to dissolve. Yes, the smaller ones just disappeared first, and this shrunk down until it was no more than just a speck, and then even that disappeared.
So what are these things?
If these objects were simply advanced human technology, we would expect their design and capabilities to evolve over time. Yet pilots have reported similar sightings for decades, long before modern drone technology. Their ability to change shape, travel at extreme speeds, and evade conventional aircraft suggests something far beyond known human engineering. Whether they are natural phenomena, interdimensional, or of non-human origin, their presence in our skies remains an unsolved mystery.
Even stationary webcams are capturing these things coming up and out of the ocean. This light even appears to change color and begin to strobe at one point. This camera was positioned west-facing in Ensenada, a beach city north of San Diego, California. However, these objects are still appearing in New Jersey as well. This clip has been sped up to show just how many there are, some of which come down and into the ocean. The splashdown is a video the Pentagon confirmed to be real as part of an ongoing investigation. This video was also recorded off the coast of San Diego, California, and allegedly leaked sometime in late 2019.
Sir. Yeah, that brings it. We got a lot of white water out there, some 6-foot swells. Whoa, it's getting close. Yeah, we have 31 knots sustained wind topside and gusts of 40.
What was splashed? Mark bearing and range.
Believe it or not, we've seen things like this before. In 1971, a series of photographs emerged allegedly taken from the US Trepang, a US Navy submarine depicting unidentified flying objects in the Arctic region. These images sparked debates for years about their authenticity, so I used another AI photo checker to see what was real or not. Not likely to be AI generated or deepfake. Interesting. Whatever these things are, they've clearly been around for decades and they don't always come from the ocean. This USO rises from the water of Fraser River, the longest river within British Columbia, Canada. Taking a look at that very area within the National UFO Reporting Center, 9 sightings show up, beginning in the late 1970s. One eyewitness reported seeing flying object making impossible maneuvers. Another said they saw an object visible for approximately 1 minute before breaking into 2.
The Fraser River's location makes it an interesting potential hotspot for UFO and USO activity. Flowing from the remote Rocky Mountains down into the Strait of Georgia, it provides a direct connection between deep inland regions and the Pacific Ocean. If these objects are using water as an entry or exit point, the Fraser River and its estuary could be ideal locations for discrete movement between land, sea, and air.
For decades, USOs were dismissed as mere science fiction, but the declassification of military encounters and an exponential rise in credible sightings have forced a serious reconsideration. Advanced sensor technology, including radar and infrared, has provided hard data on objects moving in ways that defy known physics, making them impossible to ignore. These patterns suggest that whatever these objects are, they may have a direct interest in Earth's water systems. Coastal cities, rivers, and lagoons provide easy access points for entering or exiting bodies of water, possibly hinting at an underwater presence or even a hidden network of submerged locations. If USOs are operating in these areas, it raises the question, are they simply observing, or is there something beneath the surface we've yet to uncover?
Some theories suggest that underwater UFOs or USOs might be linked to non-human intelligences exploring or residing in the ocean. The depths could hide advanced technology or unknown forms of life, raising intriguing questions about their purpose and origin. What do you think about this possibility?
That's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for the next one as we dive deeper into something even more interesting.